Awesome. So yeah, I think we'll just get straight on with it. So you guys know me. I did my long-winded introduction last week. But for those who don't, my name's Harry. I work at LAL Art Advisory, and I manage the Edicurial Collection that you might have heard of. And I've been working in vertical crypto art for a while now, and you all know the spiel. So yeah. Oh, but this is Chris's first. Excuse me, Chris's first critique. Nice to see you, Chris.
It is, yeah. I watched the YouTube one last
Mm.
week when I got back from vacation, and was just so excited for that. There's a part two, so thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So yeah, I think everyone knows each other, and we had that introduction last time. Um, Lewis, do you have an artwork for this week? Oh yes,
Yes.
yes. Sorry, there's the one from last week that we didn't get round to. Sorry, that's
No,
my
but
bad.
I also posted something from yesterday. It's at the residency third.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Oh no, you just did. Sorry, my yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, I will share my screen. And yeah, for this week, Phil has said um, I'll just need to share my screen for the whole session. So if you guys, it's just so that he can go away and do something else. So if you guys could send your, I know most of you have done this already, but if you could just either DM me the artwork or just post in the third cohort chat, then it's just so that it doesn't interrupt his recording, um, if that's okay. Uh, Hello, Matilda. Right, okay, I'll share my screen. Awesome. So this is Lewis's work, and just to explain the critique, I think for the benefit of Chris, um, we normally spend 10 to 15 minutes on each artwork. So what we normally do is the first 3 or 4 minutes are spent just looking at the artwork and contemplating what we see in front of us, and then we spend another 3 to 4 minutes not where the artist doesn't say anything, but the group discusses amongst themselves what we're looking at, the materiality of the work, and the symbolism behind it. And once we've kind of scratched our brains enough about what the artwork is, we then introduce the artist to give an explanation. And then the final step is to give some feedback to the artist. Maybe some cultural or historic references that they can take away, some practical ones, and so that they may develop their practice however they choose. So, with that in mind, I think we'll start with Lewis's work. So, looking at the artwork, like 3 to 4 minutes, starting now. Okay, so I think I've racked my brains as to what this could be. Do you guys have any initial thoughts? So I think from what we're looking at here, I can't tell if this is a subject or like a human subject or some kind of animal. I think it looks a bit like a goat, and this image is mirrored from the left and the right hand side, which it just to me that the subject seems strange. I noticed there's some text here, Asilla, I believe. I'm not sure what that's meant to mean, but I'm
Yeah,
curious.
silla is chair in Spanish.
Oh,
And
sorry. Say it again.
Luis is a Spanish speaker too, so it must be that. And even if the image is almost completely symmetrical, there's between the eyes a little stroke that is different from the
Yes.
that breaks the
Yeah.
symmetry. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
That one. Yeah. Interesting. So what did it mean in Spanish again? I didn't catch that.
It's chair. It's
Chair,
it's
right?
the,
Chair.
the word
Okay.
for chair.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So this has some kind of maybe some relation to Spanish culture. I'm really lost on that bit, but
I
okay.
don't know. I think it like moves the whole semantic vibe of the picture, because it can be an animal or it can be like sort of elemental or god made of clouds or flesh. The matter of which the character is made is like really, I won't say confusing, but you can't nail what it is made of in the world that it stands. So I think Sisha it's a good one because it's like very far from that universe of associations that directly the image has.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I wonder what semantic field it sits in then, or if yeah. What do you guys have any other thoughts?
Yeah, as I was looking at it, I really felt this like rawness through the
Mm.
image, perhaps through kind of like the almost like skin-like textures and just how it feels very flesh-like. I also kind of feel very confronted by these eyes that are just like staring at me, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm also just staring back at this creature who I feel like this empathy for in a way, like they're trying to share something with me. And maybe that's through the text that's kind of like hidden within those textures. I really kind of gravitated towards those two, but I keep staring at it and I keep feeling different things, which is like fascinating.
Yeah, now that you mention it, the words seem to be they're wrapped around the mouth, and because they're contorted, yeah, maybe you feel something for the subject. And I have to say as well, like the hand drawn application on this is really delicious. I mean, it's like you say, you can't really look away from if it's underneath the eyes or at the eyes themselves. And I'm curious, like what I mean, I think these might be glasses. I can't tell. But these gestures in pink, I'm curious as to what they might resemble. Yeah, thanks guys. So I think we should bring in Louis, if you wouldn't mind.
I'd love to.
Oh yes, sorry, go on.
Oh, okay. One thing I've always admired about Luis's work is that it. I mean, I have small children, and there's something about play and like I don't know if it's the tools that he uses. Childhood drawing, obviously a very elaborate and crafted childhood drawing, but there's this sort of innocence and like unlearning to them that I've always found really beautiful, and just sort of really like intelligent, like intelligent of like awareness, of like a conscience, of a consciousness. stored inside the drawing.
Yeah, I feel that too. It's almost like an immaterial form. Now that you look at these edges and these, just like something out of a dream. Unlearning. That's a good way. That's an excellent way of putting it, Anna. Louis, would you mind telling us more?
Yeah, I'm very moved. Thank you very much for your kind words. I was at the polling station because we voted yesterday. So I have in my hands. I don't know if no.
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. So my not. Yeah. So this is the indelible ink, and these are my my drawings are like I just doodle all day. So I okay. So that's context. So I use the indelible ink on the manual for. I was like part of the table where people came to vote. So I was sitting for 8 hours. So I doodle all along, and the word chair, silla, is actually casilla, voting station. So it's part of the manual. And I loved the indelible ink that you normally put on the voters' fingers. I was the person that did that all day, so I also used a little bit on my manual. So that's the technique. So I did that, and also ballpoint pen. So that's technique. I love those characters that are barely human or like monsters, and I love the idea of when intelligence came to the human species. I would love to know to meet someone like. I am also a cartoonist, and I have some jokes about when human beings and Neanderthals met, and imagine that you fall in love with a Neanderthal, or the family of your fiancé is Neanderthal. So that would be great. No, I mean, to know when we became humans. And yeah, so that would be the idea. Oh, and I also do my two tools that I used is the mirror effect that we have on every cell phone, of course, and you move the line of the mirror around until you discover a character. You could have many possibilities of characters, but suddenly one of those possibilities looks at you with that side, and I like it, and I stop there. The other tool that I love is the erase tool from my Chinese phone, because it's supposed to erase people from your photos, but when you quote unquote erase using that tool, when you erase your drawing, it modifies it in a way that copies I forgot what it's not the sketching, but the shadows of your traces. It sort of uses the rest of the drawing, copies it into the small portion that you are erasing, and it kind of learns to draw like you somehow. So I love it, and that's what I did in the center of the page because I forgot to do the mirroring effect. So I tried to do it again, and I didn't. But I like that it's not perfectly symmetrical. So thank you very much for your words. You make a Mexican artist very happy.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, I don't know what the name of that technique is, but I think it maybe is it layer. Is what's the tool on Photoshop? It's like a hash tool. I can't remember, but I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think what you're trying to convey is the human condition and the need to explore through drawing, and you combined a ton of stuff like using a ballpoint pen to make it, and using the mirror technique to create a new person. I think this is all part of curiosity that's being conveyed very nicely, and I've learned a lot. I didn't know what ASEA meant until today, so this is great. Yeah, thank you, Louis. So,
Thank you.
who wants to actually? Who needs to go next? Jean, are you here? Let's see. Yes. Jean, would you mind going next? Just.
Yeah, okay. For this work, I'm thinking about. I'm trying to find a way to also add my sound work with my new series. So maybe I drop the sound too, or it's not sure yet, but it's maybe so I can know if it works then.
I think. Is there any way you can share that with me? It's just because Phil is. If I stop streaming, then his whole video recording
I can
stops. So.
drop it in the. I think it's now dropping. Maybe I don't know. Just few seconds and it arrives.
Sure. We're off to a great start, by the way.
And we voted yesterday to Luis. And result is very, very shitty in France. Very shitty.
I know.
I can't comment. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Yes. So I think I'll play this audio recording through my speaker, and hopefully it works. But we'll see. So silent time starting now. All right, so that was a wonderful experience. So, does anyone have any initial thoughts about this work? Ghost in the Rhizome. If not, I can always just throw some ideas in. So, because I'm a bit of a nerd, like I think of the music and I think of like Metroid. I don't know if any of you guys played that, but a lot of the sounds are very, I feel alien. I think the art combined with the music works really well here. I think the texture of the music, which is like polyphonic and it got all sorts of different layers going on in there, kind of corresponds with the amount of detail of the drawing to present something which feels alien, isolated, and just foreign, really. As I said, I think the attention to detail here is sublime. It's like Louis' work, very diligent. And if there's one last observation, it's that the title, Ghost in the Rhizome, that makes me think of like Ghost in the Shell, which I haven't seen in years. But with Rhizome, I think of Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattara's definition of the rhizome, which is using like art theory to describe like a stem is equal to its roots and radicals. And it's a metaphor that's used when comparing one area of debate, be it if it's like a branch of an original debate, is treated no less than the original debate, if that makes sense. So just because one topic started based on another topic, that doesn't mean it's any less. But that just occurred to me about the title. And yeah, it's very enjoyable. Yeah. Any thoughts, people?
I am thinking that it's just an idea that Jean went like millions of years before, and it makes me think of the origin of life and the first life on Earth, or probably the first life somewhere else. So I like it about I like that idea about the cells and how life expands. So it's a fascinating idea to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good observation. Like life expands. You can clearly see that flowing and meshing through here. Um, hmm. Anyone else? No worries if not, by the way, I'm just hedging my bets.
I love the sound so much. It really, I could have listened to that all day. It
Yeah,
was really mesmerizing.
it was. It was mesmerizing. It wasn't. I feel like it was more mesmerizing than it was ominous, actually. It just kind of lulled you into it. Oh, sorry, does someone else have something?
I was going to say the same thing. It's nice to the music pairing was really apropos, but it also is nice to see music pairing with a still image. It's often like, with moving graphics, it's almost feels like it's missing something with without any sort of audio component. Whereas here, I wouldn't have missed it, but I felt like the audio really enhanced what was still just very much a still. So like, that was nicely unexpected and a nice aspect to it.
Totally. So, Sean, could you tell us a bit about your awesome work?
So, thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, this is one. The piece is made between A3, A2 size, and it's a small part of a much bigger drawing. I'm on since 6 months, maybe. Yeah, it's the I'm trying to find a figure with very repetitive motifs, and also the idea of the sound is to, when the very big piece will be finished, the sound could be the rhythm that help to travel through the picture, maybe on video, or I'm not sure yet, or at least for maybe another part of the work too, because if I was exhibiting that real life in a virtual gallery, I'll probably create the context for all my work with some room with some very harsh noise stuff, especially the grotesque part of my work, and more minimal abstraction with polyphony for the more abstract part of my drawing. So also maybe I don't know if you have noticed really, but it's 3 fragment drawn, each one 3 kind of face, cartoonish face maybe. If you look at the top left and the middle right or the low part, you can see in the global that it's kind of a nose, an eye, and the mouth open. You can see some profile on the right, and the low section is also a bit like melting, cartoonish character. Not really character, but liminal character, maybe. And in the middle of the piece, you can see 2 eyes, a nose, some lips with the 2 points symmetrical. you have to watch it globally maybe to see it. I don't know if people really see that or not. I often use pareidolik techniques for my drawings, so like maybe a bad habit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I can say more.
No, that's great. Thank you, Jean. I can only imagine how great this work would be at A2 size amongst a load of other drawings. That would be just. I want to go to that show. We should all go. But it's interesting you point out there's faces within this object, this artwork you've made. That's an interesting use of. I didn't pick up on that honestly, but like, it's a cool use of negative space. I think I can maybe pick it out here if those are eyes and perhaps that's a mouth. But that reminds me of the scream. But I think what you're trying to convey, which is something which is like, I think you said grotesque. It certainly comes through with the mix of the art and the music and the polyphony that you've made by combining them both. It's really intriguing. It's really delicious. Like everything's so neat. It appeals to me. Sorry, I'm biased, but like, yeah. I can't wait to see the rest of the works and maybe a physical install one day. Who knows? But thank you, Jean. That was really awesome.
Yes, thank you very much too. It's nice too.
So I think Chris should go next if he doesn't mind. Yeah.
Go for it. My video has sound built into it. I guess I'm not supposed to say anything else, so I'll leave it at.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no spoilers. So yeah, we'll just do what we did with Jean's work just then, and give it a few minutes and watch it and make some notes. Okay, so what's this title called actually? Intelligent Emergence. Starting now. Wow. Yeah. Chris, you're a talented guy. I mean, that was amazing. I'm really enjoying the audio visual. Oh, wrong one. I'm really enjoying the audio visual mix we're getting this week. This is special. So, does anyone have any initial thoughts for Chris? How did it make you feel? Like, I felt like 100 emotions with this work, but I think the first thing to point out was that it was a generative artwork and it combined art and sound, like Sean. I think more I was more intrigued by the sounds that were made than the artwork that was presented, although they do go hand in hand with the title Intelligent Emergence. The sounds, they remind me of like the rattling of bones in the foreground, and you have like a really hollow noise in the background. And it was really, it sounded distant and it sounded up front. It was a real interesting soundscape that was presented with the images on screen. And then there's the images themselves. What were the images that we were looking at? I thought they looked like storm clouds, but then also waves and glaciers, and it was a mix of. At one point, I don't know if you guys noticed, it started to sound really harmonious. The noises that were coming through, and that's a polar opposite to the first few minutes of noise that we were getting, which were like largely cacophonic, and yeah, felt a lot of feelings through that. Curious to know what you guys think, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll echo that, Harry. I just, every time the image started to transform into just different, like, cloud-like objects is kind of how I felt it. It just, like, it felt like it was just pulling me in and out and just emotionally, like, pulling at my heartstrings. I don't know what it is, but, like, the transformations just really get me. And paired with the audio, it was just so, like, provoking so many feelings, and I just loved it so much. So really fantastic work.
It's very deep.
I love the contradiction into it because it's artificial intelligence process, but it really feel like a natural thing. We can see clouds, some waves at some moment, ice crackling, all that. It's almost like there is some fusion between two words, like the point of contact or something like that. It's really good work.
Yeah, that's a great observation as well. Like, artificial intelligence versus nature. Yeah. All right. So, Chris, we're dying to know what the work's about.
Wow. Thank you so much for all the kind words, everyone. That I'm kind of at a bit of a loss to follow that up at the moment. But so the work is essentially, I mean, you're bang on it. It's artificial intelligence based, but basically it's a model that was trained on roughly 7 years of sort of analog photo work of my own, using acrylic ink and water. It's a sort of like practice I think a lot of people have seen before, but what initially interested me was teaching this algorithm how to reproduce my own work. But what I discovered when in doing so, it actually produced work that looked better. And so the interest there for me was like, okay, so now suddenly I'm in this conversation with this algorithm where I've produced something that it couldn't do. It doesn't look like the original photos, but it's producing something that there's no way I could do as well. And so this is sort of like step 0 or step 1 or proof of concept or whatever. And what's going to be an ongoing series, I'm actually watching this model train on a sort of like remote GPU as I'm speaking right now, actually. But the idea is to kind of like continue this to like keep adding to what the model is given and seeing what it puts out, and then that informing what I end up creating more of to feed into that algorithm and have this sort of like nice back and forth. Initially the music was a bit of an afterthought in that, like, as I said earlier, in response to Jean's work, I felt like it needed some sort of auditory component. So I researched a sort of like music generation machine learning algorithm, fed it like just ambient music that I felt like would have soundtracked this really well, and output just like basically computerized sheet music, MIDI files that I was then able to arrange with sort of like digital instruments in Logic Pro. And it's sort of like a proof of concept too, of just like, okay, I can make music with machine learning algorithms. What I'm hoping to sort of like explore into is how to sort of pair the generation of the music more tightly with the visual. Like generally right now, the two algorithms are completely unrelated. And I'd like to sort of bridge that gap so that instead of it's just myself and a visual algorithm sort of collaborating to create more and more motion pieces and loops and, you know, long form pieces like this, but also bring in this sort of musician algorithm to then maybe inform the visual, or maybe the MIDI files, like the sheet music, so to speak, is informed by the pixels within these animations. So it's an ongoing thing, but this is sort of like proof of concept step one of what this sort of whole like human machine collaborative ongoing project could end up looking like.
Well, it's a great proof of concept. It's fascinating to know. I actually immediately thought of Anna and the verse, and actually Sasha Styles. I don't know if you know Sasha, but she's a great artist who crypto poet who's trained again, I believe, Anna, like over I think 5 or 6 years to write poetry with her. And it's the same relationship, I think, between you and your generative artwork. Interesting. There's like that that dialogue between analog and digital mediums with your photography and your acrylic work. It's really, as Claudia mentioned, it's really immersive, and it feels natural. And I'd be amazed. I'm intrigued to see how you'd bridge the art and the music with, like, perhaps the same algorithms in that light. It'd be very interesting to see. And I guess as one observation I made as well was that I don't know if you know the work of like Steve Reich or like Schoenberg, but it's like Steve Reich did this thing he wrote this piece called Electric Counterpoint, and it was where every instrument had like 2 cells of notes, and then once one instrument did it, another instrument did it, and then another instrument did it, and they just moved harmoniously like that. And I guess it just kind of, this work reminded me of that with its sounds. And
that was a flattering comparison. I am very appreciative of that. Thank you very, very much.
No, you deserve it, well and truly. Does anyone else have any last words for Chris, or
No, just echoing what you said about sort of the effects of training these AIs on our work over periods of times, and the effects that can come out are so interesting. Like in Sasha's poetry, and Chris, what you're doing. Definitely something that I think worth exploring visually and textually.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Really great work.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
And Zalazika, sorry, I don't think I saw you in the last one. Do you have an artwork that you might want to show us today, or? No problem if you can't speak. By the way, I should have mentioned if you want to type in the third cohort chat, that's perfectly fine. So I guess yeah, if people want to spectate as well, that's totally fine for the session. Patricia, do you have any new artwork this week?
Yeah, I think I posted last time, but I had to drop off earlier. So I don't know if, let me see. I am curious to have, let's see. Yes, I need to find the right link. Just that we just have to post a link?
Yeah, just
In the
post
chat?
it in the chat,
Okay.
and I'll.
Okay, should I post? I have a few that are all kind of similar, part of a collection. Would it make sense to post that, or?
Yeah. By all
Okay.
means. Thank you.
Let me
Oh yes,
see.
thank you, Santia. I did see your work as well. We'll go to that straight after.
So these are the. Oh, it's actually it's just an OpenSea. I just minted them.
Oh, great! Awesome.
But, let's see. I guess the collection page. Okay. Cool. I'll. Okay.
Thank you. Memories for a metaverse. That sounds lovely.
I'm curious to hear if the description makes sense too.
Sure. Are there any that you want us to look at in particular, or?
Yeah, maybe that first one on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go up, like the one on the right, that one. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we could just go.
I think I'll copy paste. Actually, maybe it's best that we don't look at the description straight away.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then we'll try and
Okay.
we'll try and figure it out, but
Okay.
we'll look at it after. Cool. All right, so I'll open this one on here. Open this one here. Actually, open them in new tabs. That's gorgeous. Okay, so 4 to 5 minutes, starting now. So, guys, what do we think about Patricia's memories for a metaverse?
I wanted to jump in, Patricia, and just say that I really, really adore this. Having just visually seen it without reading the description or anything, I read it kind of like a photograph that has been neglected in archival, like a photograph that's maybe been damaged by water or just kind of like not archived in the best way. And seeing like in the detail of the image, I see a lot of what looks like clone stamping almost, like the image is trying to clone itself and like almost restructure and rematerialize and like heal itself in a way. And I'm not sure if like that's the direction you're going. I know that you work a lot with memory, and so maybe I'm trying to make that connection there with like the image almost trying to restructure itself based on memory. That's my reading of it, but I'd love to hear more.
So, I agree with you there. I think when you mention clone stamping, I think of the content aware tool that you can get in Photoshop, where you can basically just go around an area and based on the algorithm, it'll just repeat the pattern or whatever is there. But if there's nothing that it's based on, it just becomes like an abstract shape. Yeah. Any thoughts, people? They're beautiful, these works. Really beautiful.
It looks like a lonely place to me. Beautiful, but like hard weather because it looks like snowy, and yeah, a tough place to be. That's what
I think I'm intrigued. Patricia wanted to show us these two works in particular because that is certainly conveyed in this one. I think it looks gritty and cold, whereas this one looks kind of warm. It's just perhaps it's just the gradient and the color palette. When I spoke to, I worked with Fanny Lakubai, and she's presented me some artworks before, and I actually think this looks similar to Dream. Is there an artist in this cohort called Dream Sample? There was a work last week, right at the very end. It's very reminiscent of this one, of these works.
Yeah. Earth Sample.
Earth Sample. Oh my, yeah. Sorry. Thank you. I think the works look very, very similar in that regard. But Fanny and I talked about like works of this nature. Like we think this is what the metaverse looks like. It's something that's kind of ethereal. It's immaterial. It kind of combines photography and mixed media at times, and this work feels very contemporary, like ultra contemporary in a way, with what we're approaching. It looks like a photo. I mean, these look like they're based on photographs, as Claudia said. Like and perhaps they are archives of a different time and a different planet, maybe. But yeah, Patricia, could you let us know?
Thank you. I appreciate all the comments. It's really interesting actually to hear. It's so fun. So this is from the desert. So it's funny to hear them. It's a hard environment, but very warm. So this is part of a larger project that I've been working on for a while, which is working with communities that are threatened to be displaced, and they're all in the West Bank and Area C. So they're all semi-nomadic communities that I basically started the project with the idea of making a VR experience to convey the sense that the space is disappearing. And then as I got into the NFT space, just figuring out ways to convey the whole project through, I guess, process imagery. So this is what we've been doing in the process of creating the VR is digitizing. Basically, the whole idea of the VR is digitizing spaces that are disappearing. And so making 3D models of landscapes, villages, and places, and in some cases also rituals, that are disappearing as a result of modernization, but also industrialization, and really the political situation as well. So basically this image, for example, it's the 3D model And it is using something similar to what you said, content aware, which is really filling out. It's using AI to fill out the kind of some of the blank, the sort of the negative space. Yeah, so it's aerial and street photography, and then photogrammetry modeling, and then and then to create the kind of the texture. It's something, like the content aware. And so this is because it's part of a larger project. I've been trying to figure out like exactly what to do with it all, because I have so many digitizations of so many of these places, and also I actually have a lot of sound. And it's funny, we're doing this session on sound. I have a lot of sounds, recorded sounds from these places, and sound is really huge because part of what's sort of shocking is you go in and these communities are living very kind of semi-nomadic lifestyle. And then what's most shocking is you actually start to hear the highway. This one is actually a village that's right next to a factory. That's what this image is. And you go and you just start hearing like the factory's really, really loud. And, the village is really with very limited electricity. They just have solar panels. So it's quite sort of shocking. And so we're actually using a lot of sound for the VR. But I'm actually also exploring ways to sound. I don't know if it makes sense to use it with this type of imagery, but that's the explanation.
Thank you. I think it makes perfect sense to go with a still image. I mean, it's worked for our other artists this week, and I think it's definitely worth playing with. I'm glad that what Patricia said and what I kind of observed was like kind of accurate. I know you mentioned last week your subject matter, and it's great to be reminded of it. And honestly, I'd be so excited to see the AR version of this as well, and with the sounds, and it would be really immersive. And I think we even get sound through the noise which is created through the textures of this work. I feel like that might have been that probably was your intention. And visually, it comes through. So what else? What else did I?
Hey.
Oh, go on.
I was wondering how text was going to play a role in your project, Patricia.
Oh, sorry, there's some text here actually, Patricia, isn't there? Maybe I can copy paste that into the.
So this is the description, but I guess actually within the VR experience, it's funny. I started to play with AI, but it doesn't. AI works in a very strange way with text with this because it starts to detect automatically because of where it is in the West Bank. It really it's very stereotypical what it provides, but in terms of text, it's actually it's really like kind of a woven. I'm weaving sort of my it's a piece about home and space, and so I'm talking about my memory and experience of home, and then weaving it with really like testimonials of different women from these communities about their experience of home. But I'm not sure. So that's all of these things I'm working on as part of the larger project, and I'm actually still figuring out like what makes sort of sense to kind of make as an NFT. But because I'm definitely, I guess, exploring how to take the larger project and use the sort of the process to make pieces out of it. But yeah, I guess to answer, I know what the result is going to be in terms of the VR experience, that it's weaving together testimonials and experiences of home and space. But actually not sure how to kind of, I guess, package it as an NFT, if that makes sense.
Well, maybe for now, Patricia, I think just some of the feelings that you're trying to convey, like places that are vanishing with like industry and semi-nomadic communities. I mean, if you really look at these images, they feel kind of lonely. You know, they feel like they are abandoned in a way. So visually, I think that comes through.
Mhm.
And I think more than that is the idea of permanence. Like you're trying to, with the content aware gesture and these images and your approach, they do suggest that you're trying to hold on to something that is kind of you can't really hold on to, but perhaps the blockchain's the solution to that. Yeah, really, really nice and very well thought out. Does anyone have any last words for Patricia? If not, thank you, Patricia. I really
Thank
dig
you.
these works. Yeah, and let us
Thank
know.
you so much.
Let us know how you get on.
Oh,
Oh yeah, go on.
maybe I would say that it reminds me of the place where my father used to work. My father used to work in a petrochemical in the industry, and I feel nostalgic, and I wanted to share this because I feel attracted to it, and I find beauty in it, and I maybe it's I don't know, but I don't think that maybe it's some political standing on the issue that modernity. Well, that's what I used to believe when I was a kid. Brings good things, and maybe I wanted to ask you if we were your idea is that this place is harming the community or the environment. I think if that no, I guess it's not the idea, because I find it beautiful, and I think there would be progress or good things coming from that place. I don't know. Maybe it's not. My review is not about art, but also at first glance, I thought it was artificial intelligence and not a photograph. So I didn't want to call it a real place, but now that that you said that it's a real place, I like it a lot, and I like Africa a lot. So probably, but I like your view on Africa a lot too, and yeah. So just wanted to ask you about if there is a political statement about it.
Well, I guess so. This is in the West Bank and Palestine. So by
Oh,
I guess by
sorry, I have it all wrong.
No, it's no. It was. I mean, I guess it's sort of North. I mean, next to North Africa. But no. But what I wanted to say is just that I think by default, anything that is there is political. Even even if it's just a photo of, I don't know, a toy, it would be political probably. So I think that's been the interesting and strange thing for me, is to bring this into Web3, because I think it's a space that's not very political, but I just happened to be there for the last few years and doing work there. And I think there's a piece of it that is by default political, but at the same time, I guess for me, I'm more interested in like the universal elements, which is that, yeah, I think I agree with you. There's something beautiful and also something sort of horrible and nostalgic about it. That there's just a lot of ways of life that are disappearing now. And on the one hand, like the way that these people are living is going to disappear, and they are going to be forced into cities, and it's something horrible. And then at the same time, then that comes with more access to education, more access to jobs, right? So I guess I'm not the one to kind of decide or criticize or determine, but I think it's, it's sort of, it's like beautiful and tragic. I don't, it's a mix of everything, I think.
Yeah, I feel that too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Louis. That was really helpful in helping us understand the work more. So I think last artist for today, I'm afraid, but last but not least, Santia. So Santia's work is in the chat, so I'll just open it and we'll see what we think. So if we can give Santia a few minutes, we'll take some notes about what it is and we'll talk. But 3 to 4 minutes starting now. So, do we have any thoughts for Santia?
I feel like immediately it evoked the work of Jackson Pollock for me.
Yes. Yes.
But
very
upon
much.
but upon closer inspection, it almost feels like rather than, like the physical paint, it feels code based, like generative, which I think is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Damn. You read my mind, Claudia. It feels like it does feel generative. And it is very Pollock like. I actually wonder if it's part of a series, or if it's a work in progress towards something like that. It feels very playful. It reminds me of like it's mono. It reminds me of like monoprints, and because I used to do a lot of screen printing, I used to have like registration marks just to kind of make sure everything was like when you superimpose the colors onto each other, they make the image. But this feels like a free form work. It feels playful, almost like it's dancing and it's sporadic. And yeah. Any other ideas about this? What it could be? It actually looks nicer when you zoom out of it. Actually, just you really get to admire just the meshing of colors. Pretty nice. Oh, maybe one thing as well. I've forgotten what you mix paint with, what kind of emulsion it is, but I don't know if you guys know it, but like you mix it together and it kind of looks like a constellation through paint, and you can pour it on like a surface. And I can't remember what it's called. It's a really famous technique. But yeah, it's just very playful. And Santia, could you let us know what's going on here?
Yeah, of course. So this kind of work I have been doing like since October, and it's individual pieces, and they don't have actually the meaning or they don't work as a series, but they are anyway because it's all this work I have done in this mold. These are photos from my paintings or digital paintings also that I throw into Inkscape and SVG software, and then I work with those layers and vectors as if it was a puzzle. I compose again in that place. In this case, you can see that the entire yellow layer I moved it, and it's like as you said in printmaking, when there's a mistake that's not fully correct overlapping happens. So yeah, I come from the field of abstract painting, and I have been working and training and studying there. And my first approach to digital art was when Corel X3 was a thing, but it's almost the same as Inkscape. So I used to vectorize some ink strokes or parts of my visual poems. I was still a poet at that time. So I worked with letters, pieces of text, and characters. It became just drawing and painting at the time. This was like 12 years ago. And I came back to it many times, and now it's just paintings. I think I 1 week or two ago, I started calling this kind of work landscapes, even if they are still abstract works. But that's like a switch just in the name. And retroactive, I decided to call landscapes even the older ones before that switch in name. So I'm having fun with the maybe too open window of abstract art and not giving many hints and displacing meaning.
Yeah, that's interesting what you just said. Displacing meaning, that comes across very well with your displacing of your yellow. Actually, yeah, this is great. I can tell that you're an abstract painter. It's just it's just playful. It really just comes through. And let's see what else we got. So I'm not actually familiar with Corel X3. Is it an old software, or has it been around for a while?
Yeah, it's an old version of Corel. It would be the 13 one. So maybe I think in 96, when I was a kid,
right.
I was 10. I played with Corel 8, I think, and years passed, and as a young adult, I found Corel X3 that it was already obsolete in 2010. So I used this obsolete software for design, vector design, and made this visual poetry. I have like my little scene of friend poets and like seeing book houses, or it was poetry book houses, but little and very punk in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I lived there with friends and made this kind of poetry.
Interesting. Yeah, it is poetic. I just visually, because it conveys a lot of emotion and very, very delicate. And you could have fooled. I think you could have fooled us if you said they weren't vectors, because they just look very paint-like. And it's quite impressive that a computer picks up on this much detail based on your strokes. But yeah, thank you, Santia. That is a really great artwork.
Thank you all for your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I think that we might unfortunately have to round the session up there. I wanted to just get through the people who didn't get a chance to do it last week. It's kind of hard to predict how subscribed these sessions are, but I hope we have one again really soon. And I need to speak to Matilda about that. But yeah, thank you all for showing up today. I know you're all busy, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you make next. And yeah, so some of the works today have just been wonderful, really. And yeah, I want to collect some myself, actually. But yeah, have a wonderful rest of Monday, everyone. And hopefully we see each other again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Beautiful works.
Beautiful works.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Harry. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.